welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Kevin, what are you so happy about today? You're beaming.
Well, you know, I had my normal face,
beaming.
and I was like, I gotta be happy.
Yeah.
I'm in someone's home. I'm just like,
So you
happy
took it a notch up from your normal face. Well, we like the
He's wearing his best shirt.
Face. I'm
That's
glad
what
you're
he's happy about.
That's the biggest smile.
Good. We all look good. We got so many great things happening this weekend. We got a jam show. We're going to get right to it. We got Lakers tonight. We got football this weekend. We're going to start with one of the marquee matchups of the weekend. An AFC showdown, Patriots-Chiefs at Arrowhead. First time, long time, Andy Reid will game plan for a Patriots team that does not have Tom Brady under center. Still won't be easy, though. Cam Newton presents, let's call it a different kind of challenge. The guy can throw, but the guy can also run. Meanwhile, Chiefs dominating on all fronts lately, coming off a big win over the Ravens, the team many thought was their biggest challenger in the AFC. With that, it is time for Brandon's keys to the game. Brandon Marshall,
Dun, dun, dun.
How do Cam and the Patriots leave Kansas City with an upset win? Take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big challenge for the Patriots, and if they want to win, they got to hone in on three things. The first thing that they got to do is they have to attack this Chiefs run D. The soft spot on this defense is the linebacker core. They're a little soft there, so you can attack them there. Josh McDaniels is brilliant at exploiting the defense's weak spots. Last week against the Raiders, you saw him take advantage of the perimeter runs. Expect him to really hone in on the power run offense this week. The second key to victory, you absolutely have to protect Cam. Cam Newton has to be upright. This offensive line hasn't been challenged all year because they've done an amazing job of running the ball and building off of play action. So they haven't been able to go against a defensive line that was fast because they were slowed down by the run game and the play action. So keep Cam upright if you want to have a chance. And the last thing, most important thing, every quarterback, they're creatures of comfort. Keep this guy in the pocket. Patrick Mahomes, you have to contain him. If you don't, it's going to be a long night. You can just say night-night and go to bed early. Okay, so you got to keep this guy in the pocket. Something interesting happened in 2010 when Coach McDaniels was leading our team. One day he walked into our team meeting room and he said, guys, here's the game plan. We're playing against Tom Brady. These quarterbacks are creatures of habit. You got to get them off their spot. Tom Brady's most comfortable spot on the field is 6.5 yards deep behind the center. So everything we're going to do is going to crash that pocket and get him outside of it. Patrick Mahomes, if he's outside of it, he will absolutely crush you. So those are the three keys to victory if you want to win for the Patriots.
Brandon, those are all great, and I'm not one to criticize you, but you forgot, I think, the most obvious and the most important one, which is pray. I think they should pray. I think they should pray a lot. I think they should maybe hope that Patrick Mahomes takes the day off. And that might be the most important thing they can do. Now, as far as, sorry, Wilds, as far as addressing your actual points,
your real answer.
The run defense could be even more weakened if Chris Jones doesn't play. He's the most notable name on the Chiefs. That could help the Patriots for your first and your second key, which was protect Cam Newton and attack the Chiefs' run defense. He's the Chiefs' best defensive players, their best pass rusher, and he also helps stabilize what is a weak run defense. And so that is a key injury to watch. He did practice yesterday, but he was limited. He's the most notable Chief that could miss this game, aside from L'Jarius Sneed, their rookie corner, who's got a broken collarbone, and we know he's not going to play. The other thing I would add in seriousness, aside from praying, is I think this is a four-down game for the New England Patriots. I think fourth and less than 3, particularly with Cam at quarterback, they need to be going for it. And I think that once they get inside Wilds, the 25-yard line, no field goals. I don't like scoring 3 points is not going to do you any good. You saw Baltimore, I think, very foolishly in the Monday night game on their first drive it down the field, then have a 4th and 3 inside the 10, and Baltimore, a historically aggressive fourth down team, took the points, and they shouldn't have. I don't know if that would have changed that game, but they shouldn't have. So Wilds, on the seriousness, I think Brandon's keys are great. I think Chris Jones is wildly important to 2 of them, and I think you guys need to be going for 4th downs.
Yeah, I agree. Right. But look, I'll give you, Jenna, I'll give you a prediction, which is that Monday morning, Nick Wright will be wearing a Cam Newton jersey from this bet. And, Nick, we haven't really put this in stone yet. But if you'd like to make that the bet, that you're wearing a Cam Newton jersey, or I've got another prop coming that I've asked my family to bring down. If you'd also like to wear a different jersey that I will be debuting later on in the show, are you willing to have that bet for Monday?
If the Patriots beat the Chiefs, I will wear a Cam Newton jersey on this show. I am not going to wear that Julian Edelman jersey that your family is going to bring downstairs. There's no chance I would do that. And I'll wear it whenever we're talking about the game. Whenever we're talking about Chiefs-Patriots, I'll wear the Cam Newton jersey. It'll be odd if I'm wearing it when we're talking about the NBA Finals. And by the way, Wild, it can be a free roll for you. This is how confident I am, Jenna. You have to risk nothing. If the Chiefs win, you do nothing. You just wear your normal outfit, your hair poofed the way it normally is. You risk nothing. I will risk the Cam Newton jersey. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to hope it's still at the Goodwill store where I dropped it off after you sent it to me, but I'll find a way to wear it. Why don't you like it?
No, I don't like it. If the Chiefs win, go ahead. If the Chiefs win, maybe he can't talk about the Patriots for a week. He can't say Hall of Famer Julian Edelman for a week. It has to be something on the other side.
Well, I'm not going to lie.
No, it's not going to happen.
The Chiefs are such massive favorites. It's not fair, Jenna. I'll just let him have a free roll.
In all seriousness, Brandon, let me ask you, is it possible that we could look at this game and say, oh, that was when the torch was officially passed from one dynasty to the next? Can we see such a discrepancy in style of play? Hang on, Wilds. I want to ask, is it possible that this is one of those games where we could say, oh, that's when it happened. That's when we saw the changing, the passing of the baton?
Yeah. I don't think so. I know a lot of people think it's already happened. But when you look at the Patriots and what they have done the last 20 years, I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, they have to win two Super Bowls to be able to have this conversation. So I'm one to say this conversation shouldn't happen until they win number 2. Look at the Patriots. What they did they're a dynasty. They're a dynasty.
Yeah, and they're kind of two separate dynasties.
All of a sudden, 3 equals 6, I guess. All right, sure.
Bad math.
Okay, all right, the Wilds. I know we got to go. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, what Jenna is saying is it's time, like, you know, is it time to pass it? And I don't think so. I'm on your side here, buddy, where, you know, they have to do so much more to dethrone the Patriots. Like, we make it, what the Patriots have done over the last 20 years is remarkable because it's hard to win a Super Bowl. Think about the Packers. They have, for a long time, they had the best quarterback in football in Aaron Rodgers. Did they get it done? No. You can go to Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom, and when Russell Wilson, his first 3 years, they went to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. What have they done the last 5-6 years? So it's extremely hard to do this. Now, do they have the makeup and the profile to do it? Yes, but it's going to be hard.
And Wilds, I also don't think that this can be the torch passing. The torch passing had to involve Tom Brady playing quarterback for the Patriots, and unfortunately for everyone involved, he threw the torch to Logan Ryan, who returned it for a touchdown to end his career with the Patriots, so the Chiefs couldn't take it from him. He was trying to get it to the Chiefs. He threw it to Logan Ryan. It was pick 6, and so the torch is still somewhere.
The Chiefs missed their window on the torch passing. All right. Patriots, Chiefs, we look forward to that. There's another game we're looking forward to, another highly anticipated matchup. This one, Baker and the Browns, Dak and the Cowboys. We'll break it down next. First things first. The games we'll be watching, Browns, Cowboys, with a close eye on the 2 quarterbacks here, Baker versus Dak. Dak's thrown for 450 yards in back-to-back games. Meanwhile, Baker's led the Browns to a winning record for the first time since 2014. But don't get too caught up in Dak versus Baker. Here's why.
You know, I think Dak's a great player. A tremendous amount of respect for him, the leader and the person he is. But when it comes down to it, we're playing the Cowboys defense. And, you know, we have to do whatever it takes to win. And if that is a shootout, then great. Then if it's another game where we have to control the clock, then we'll do that. So whatever it takes to win.
Brandon, do you think Baker should be aiming for a shootout against Dak Prescott and the Cowboys on Sunday?
Absolutely not. No, Baker's not that guy. You know, he's not the guy that's going to sit in the pocket and spread it around, you know, go through his progression. He showed us week 2 who they are and what they do best. And it's not a knock on him, but sometimes you just got to play your role. This is a team that has 2 of the premier running backs in the league in Chubb and Hunt, run the ball, and then lean on the play action. We saw this week 2. And then occasionally take some timely shots to Odell. Third down, you have Landry, who can get open versus any coverage. That's who you are. If you get in a shootout with Dak Prescott, who's averaging, what, like 400-something yards a game, you will lose this game. That is not what you want. Now, this Cleveland team, they have what it takes to get the job done this week, but it's not going to be during a shootout.
Brandon, here's where I'll push back on it. It has to depend on who the opponent is. And the Cowboys are going to score points, and the Cowboys secondary is going to be susceptible of any secondary in football to giving up the huge play. And so Baker, I think Baker understanding that we might be forced into a shootout, that we're likely not going to be able to keep Dallas under 21 points. This is a Dallas team scoring 30-plus points despite the fact they can't stop turning the ball over. Like on possessions, the Cowboys don't turn the ball over. Their offense has been exceptional. So I think that there might be certain games where the Browns in particular should say, let's avoid the mistake, let's lean on our run game. I don't know that I believe that this is that game. I think this is the game where you say, you know what? If we're going to get our passing game going, this is the secondary to do it against, and we can expect that the Cowboys are going to be very boom or bust themselves on offense, Brandon. They're going to make big plays. They're also going to make big mistakes.
That's true, but the question is, do you trust Baker? I know Jenna doesn't trust Baker Mayfield, and she may want to jump in here. But that is the question. It's not about who you're going against. It's about who you are. Like, we know who they are. This is a team that they can establish the run, they lean on the play action, and that's what they need to focus on. If they get beside themselves, they will make mistakes and they will lose this ball game.
Geez, Brandon, here's the weird thing that's happening in the NFL this year. It's a historic offensive production. There's been 281 touchdowns, most ever. Completion percentage, 66%, highest ever. There's been 2,259 completions, the most ever. So if Baker can't get into a shootout, then what are we doing?
Right.
This is like, the water is warm. Come on in and swim, buddy. Can't be like, I don't know, waiting to warm up. The water's 87 degrees. We're in the Caribbean, we're in the Maldives, where you got that glass bottle canoe that you can look through. It's beautiful. So if you're like, I don't know, ball control, let's run the route, four downs on a pile of dirt or whatever it is, like, you got to air it out, buddy, or you're not made for this league.
Well, and
it's similar to the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, no offensive holding.
No, it's similar to the Baltimore.
Right? Exactly right. Exactly right. So just real quick, the reason the scoring explosion is up is they've stopped calling holding. And maybe that's one of the reasons the Cowboys have no pass rush. But the league is, whether it's via mandate or just via coincidence, they don't call offensive holding anymore. So drives aren't getting killed by those killer 10-yard penalties. And you do have the ability to keep drives going and to score points. But Brandon, I think Wilds makes a really interesting point, which is the Browns have 2 goals this season. One is, obviously, to make the playoffs for the first time in a decade plus. The other is to find out what they have in Baker. He obviously was exceptional his first year. He was dreadful his second year. So if you're not going to give him a chance to air it out against this defense, then I don't know when you are going to give him a chance to air it out, Brandon.
No, it's not about Baker. It's about winning ball games, and you got to lean on what you do best. It's like the Baltimore Ravens, and it's a process, right? These guys are still young quarterbacks. You got Lamar Jackson, you got Baker Mayfield. You look at the Baltimore Ravens. What do they do best? They run the ball and they lean on play action. That's why they're successful. However, when they're trailing games, because they can't air it out, that's when they lose. And they only lost a handful of games in the last 2 years. And it's the same on the other side. If they want to get to the level of the Baltimore Ravens, they have to lean on what they do best. Now, for the Baltimore Ravens to get to the next level and compete with the Kansas City Chiefs, they have to, it's not Lamar Jackson that he can't throw it. It's that now they have to start developing more. They have to put more packages in that they can work on in practice. So when they are trailing or they get in these games where it's shootouts, he's a little bit more comfortable with the offense that they have available for him.
And if this does become a shootout quickly before we go to break, and you let a guy like Baker Mayfield throw all over the place, they have a tendency to shoot themselves in the foot, and they cannot come back from that the way the Dallas Cowboys have seemed to be able to do.
That's right.
And that, I think, you put yourselves, at least if you're Cleveland Browns, in a tough position. All right, Browns, Cowboys, all that action kicks off at 1 o'clock on Sunday on Fox. We'll take a turn, Flashback Friday, head down memory lane with our guy, Brandon Marshall. Wait till you see what we dug up here on First Things First.
Whoa.
Well, drawing a blank now. MVP sleeper Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills back in action this weekend in Las Vegas against the Raiders, looking for a second straight 4-0 start in Buffalo. So, Brandon, the player you are most excited to watch in Week 4 is blank.
A Hall of Famer. Since we want to talk about that, let's talk about another Hall of Famer. I mean, when we talk about basketball, who moves the needle? LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. So when we talk football, why wouldn't we want to go with the best of the best? Russell Wilson. That's the guy I want to see. He's leading in the MVP race, candidate race. So that's who I'm locked in to see this week.
I'm going to go with someone who is not quite on a Hall of Fame track, but one day maybe. Baker Mayfield. I'm excited to watch him for a number of reasons. Browns play a game above 500 for the first time since November of 2014. It's against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that desperately needs a win, a team whose defense has been susceptible to the big play all year. And I want America to understand this. Jenna, who's got a very busy life, a very successful wife who works all the time, he's got kids.
This was told to you in confidence.
Jenna has limited time. Jenna has limited time in order to consume all the sports she needs to. Yet she has watched every second of the Browns that they played this year. Whether she needed to or not.
So true.
Just hate watching them. And now she finally gets to watch a Browns game that really matters for the show because it's Browns Cowboys and it's a marquee game. So I'm excited to watch it, and I'm actually excited for Jenna's watching to pay off for the first time.
Quickly, on an aside, you make all these Patriots bets with Wilds. You and I are going to have to make a Baker bet at some point. I'll wear whatever you want. Go ahead, Kevin.
Say one nice thing about him. That's the bet. I dare you. Go ahead.
Let's work on it. Let's work on the stakes. Go ahead.
Well, we're talking a lot about the Hall of Fame, and we didn't mention the Hall of Famer Julian Edelman up against that Chiefs defense. Did you know, Nick, while you're watching the game, just keep your eyes on the screen.
Go a week without
Patriots 22-3 when Hall of Famer Julian Edelman catches a touchdown. We're 2 weeks away, removed from him having 179 yards for Seattle. So keep your eyes on Hall of Famer Julian Edelman. It'll be so much sweeter when he goes into the end zone at Arrowhead.
Can we get
his phone tweet you? Hold on. Tweet you again about your haircut. Go ahead.
Brandon, real quick, and then you go.
Jump in.
And then just listen. Wild, you told the audience the other day, little humble brag, that you were a former fancy television bigwig. You've made television shows. I would think you would understand that if I am trying to quietly and subtly build the Brandon Marshall Hall of Fame case on this show, you responding 4 minutes later with Julian Edelman Hall of Famer, it kneecaps the credibility of us being able to say this wide receiver deserves to be in. I can't be like, hey, it's Hall of Famer Richard Sherman, Hall of Famer Brandon Marshall, and then you're like, hey, here's this dude with 36 career touchdowns. Let's throw him in as well because I think he's funny. Like, stop it. It's bad. It's bad for the show. It's bad for our integrity. It's bad for all.
It's been established. It has been established. All right, let's move on to Kansas City now, where the Chiefs getting set to host the Patriots. New England coming in as 6.5-point underdogs. The last time Bill Belichick's team was counted out by that many, all the way back in 2016. So, Brandon, the team that should be on upset alert in Week 4 is blank.
Yeah, it's the Lions upsetting the Saints. And, Nick, I'm new to this whole betting against the spread thing and just the whole gambling where I don't gamble. Yeah. But I'm new to this. And a lot of people look at it and they're like, well, they're only giving 4 or 4.5 points. So correct me if I'm wrong here. So why is this an upset? And I think it's less about the spread and more about the outcry that what happened if this team loses this game. And they can lose this game. So this is the upset alert for me.
Yeah, by the way, if anyone's an underdog of more than 2.5, that's considered a legitimate upset if they win. So this absolutely qualifies.
Okay, good,
and I shouldn't have questioned your upset pick last week because you picked the Panthers, I think, and they were like 6-point underdogs. So you're on a nice little hot streak on this. I'm going to go with the 49ers, who are big touchdown favorites over the Eagles. Like, listen, I don't think the Eagles are very good. But I also don't think the Niners, with Nick Mullins at quarterback, with no Joey Bosa or Nicky Bosa, and with no Solomon Thomas, and with the wide receivers banged up, should be a touchdown favorites over a desperate, have-to-have-the-win Eagles team. So I think the Eagles can win this game as touchdown underdogs outright. Wilds.
You know who I like, Brandon? The beard fits magic over Russell Wilson. I don't know how long Russell Wilson's going to be able to throw 5 touchdowns every game just to keep them competitive so they can win at the last play of the game. They've got a 1 o'clock game going all the way to Miami. I think Fitzmagic gets it done, and Seattle's defense is so terrible.
How are you not picking the Patriots?
Don't say unbelievable. It's your guy.
How are you not picking the Patriots?
Yeah.
How are you not picking the Patriots?
I don't consider that an upset.
They're touchdown underdogs.
I don't consider that an upset.
He doesn't consider an upset.
I don't consider that an upset.
All right, we got to move on. Nick, you set this all up for us. Philadelphia, where Carson Wentz and those winless Eagles starving for a victory. They're in San Fran taking on an injury-riddled Niners team on Sunday Night Football. But, Brandon, the team that most needs a win in Week 4 is blank.
Yeah, I mean, every team that's defeated needs a win right now. I can't imagine being in a locker room right now losing this way. But I got to go with the Texans. If they go 0-4, this is really bad. I don't think any of us expected this to be a rebuilding year for the Texans. They've competed every single year for, the last 4 or 5 years. So this is bad for them. They need a win right now.
All right, pull the curtain back on the show a little bit. I wrote down Texans as well initially, but then I saw my good friend Brandon Marshall had that, and he goes first. So my second, that's the right answer. The second best answer is the Saints. And the team that you think could be upset this week. If the Saints lose again and they lose to the fighting Matt Patricias, sound the alarms in the Superdome, America. So the Texans fall to 0-4 would be a level 10 disaster. The Saints fall into 1-3, and losing to the Lions would be like a level 8 disaster. So I'll go with the Saints, Wilds.
Nick, I'll take the Saints, and you can take the Texans.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're good. we don't need to drink.
Show?
It's fine.
Yeah. Nick, I'm going with the Bears here. I know the Bears are 3-0, but what happens if Nick Foles just becomes regular old Nick Foles, human being made of flesh and blood, and not the statue Nick Foles that everyone thinks they're going to get for 16
not a backup
more
anymore.
games? If they go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And does anyone have been paying attention to how good the Colts defense is? The Colts have given up a total of 676 yards. The Seahawks give that up per game. The Colts have given up in total. And Brandon, I know you love the Steelers, and we've been singing Mike Tomlin's praises. The Steelers are at 870. So the Colts are really, really good. We got to start paying attention. If Nick Foles struggles, I don't know what you're supposed to do as a Bears fan. You're going to start rooting for Mitch Trubisky again? So I think Nick Foles needs to come out here with a big game and a win.
All right, moving on. Baker and the Browns. Baker, who makes really wonderful commercials, and his beard is coming in nicely. I said 2 nice things about him. Baker Mayfield and the Browns headed down to Dallas for what many are expecting to be a shootout with Dak Prescott and them Dallas Cowboys. That is Sunday at 1 on Fox. So, Brandon, the player with the most to prove in Week 4 is blank.
I see what you did there, Jenna, but you didn't say anything nice about football, Baker. Okay?
Right.
All right.
You guys
Anyways,
weren't too specific on your request.
You got to say something nice about his football game. Okay?
Right,
so,
we'll
anyways, Drew Brees.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, Drew Brees. I mean, if they lose this game and he doesn't play well, I mean, Coach Payton is this Mr. Fixer guy. He has this shiny little toy in Jameis Winston sitting there on the sideline. You got to think that if this thing doesn't get back on track, he's going to be like, you know what? I know he threw 100 picks last year, but I can fix him. He can come in here and turn our season around. Drew Brees got to get it done this week.
Oh, I love the idea of LASIK Jameis coming on and being a great quarterback. This might be a little unfair because he's so young, but I'm going to go Kyler. Kyler came into this year with like some low-key MVP buzz. He has 5 interceptions to 4 passing touchdowns and just played a brutal game against the Lions that they lost in large part because of his mistakes. I'm not selling Kyler stock. All I'm saying is this week he needs to bounce back if they're going to stay competitive while in the far and away the best division in the NFL.
So I'm going to go with our researcher, Dusty, because Nick and I now have a bet that when the Patriots beat the Chiefs, Nick will wear a Cam Newton for the football segment, a Cam Newton jersey for the football segment. But we're like, what about the basketball segment? So, Dusty, I'm going to ask you to write a few paragraphs, even though it's Sunday. And, Nick, if you want to up the bet, since you're so confident, I'm going to bring this bad boy over to your house. And when we're talking about LeBron, you throw this on, see how confident you are.
Yes.
And because you like Cam. And you can do a NBA final segment wearing a Jordan jersey, and Dusty, you can either freestyle it, or Dusty, our esteemed researcher, can write you a script. Will you accept that?
Okay,
bet?
that's fine. But if you're, yeah, absolutely. But then it's no longer a free roll for you. You're back to the shave your head portion of it. I'll wear that jersey all week, but your risk is the shave your head. Okay, well then you're a coward.
Yes.
There's nothing I can say, Jenna. I'm not giving you a double free roll. The Cam Newton bet's a free roll. I'm not doing a double free roll. It's ridiculous.
Gamble. I got a question for you. You think Cam Newton can leave Kansas City with a big upset win on Sunday? We will discuss next.
Yes.
First things first, stay with us.
I thought you said it wasn't an upset.
Hey, start Saturday strong as the 9th-ranked Texas Longhorns face the Horned Frogs of TCU. It all starts with the Big Noon kickoff pregame show, 10 a.m. Eastern, all part of Big Noon Saturday on Fox and the Fox Sports app. All right, back to our top story this morning. You smell it. One of the best teams of the last 20 years against one of the best teams for the next 20 years. Patriots, Chiefs at Arrowhead. Giving you some love, Nick. Gave you some love. Patrick Mahomes against Tom Brady. Oh, no. It is Patty Mahomes against Cam Newton. Andy Reid preparing for a Patriots team that now boasts a new threat as Cam has legs, will run. Fox Bet has the Patriots plugged in as 6.5-point underdogs in this one. And with that, we welcome in our own Michael Vick. Mike, how should Cam and the Patriots... Let me ask you this. Should they feel disrespected being down nearly a touchdown underdogs to the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday?
I mean, realistically speaking, I mean, when the New England Patriots look at this game and this matchup and, you know, they look at the Kansas City Chiefs roster and what they've been able to do so far, I don't think they should feel disrespected at all. I think they should feel motivated, if anything, because in order to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And even though the season has been so short-lived up until this point, the Kansas City Chiefs look like, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs of 2019, the reigning Super Bowl champs, and they looked unstoppable. They look hard to beat. They pretty much went into Baltimore last year and annihilated the Ravens last week. So, you know, they shouldn't feel disrespected by this. Like I said, more motivated. Cam, at the same time, you know, still has a lot to prove. And, you know, I remember in 2010 when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles, I went into every game feeling like I had everything to prove and everything to gain. And it was all sorts of disrespect coming from everywhere. So I didn't care at all. So look, you look at this opportunity to go to Kansas City and win this football game, you got to motivate yourself. You got to mentally psych yourself out in order to come out of that stadium with a victory and on top. So whatever type of motivation they can get or whatever type of motivation that they feel, they should use it as leverage to go and try to find a way to win.
Yeah, Jenna, definitely interesting question, but no, there's no disrespect here. I mean, is it the Patriots? Yes, but this is a new-look Patriots team. You can't assume you're going to get the level of respect that you've gotten over the last 15 years when you had Tom Brady. Now, Cam Newton presents different challenges. I will personally go with a quarterback that's a dual threat that can run and throw the ball because it puts more pressure on the defense, the defensive coordinator, on the entire game. But there's no disrespect here, Nick. You can't assume that you're going to get the same level of respect around the league.
Even though the Patriots, I think, improved their quarterback situation from last year to this year, I think that because of the defense hasn't been quite as sharp, because they didn't drastically upgrade the weapons, and because they are playing what will turn out to be a historically great team. Wilds, I know this is unfamiliar territory for you. Since 2004, the Patriots have been this size underdogs 3 times. Once with Matt Castle starting in 2008 because Brady had torn his ACL. Once in 2010 in Week 17 when the Patriots had nothing to play for. And once in 2016 when Jimmy Garoppolo was the starter. And I've been trying to remember all morning, why was Garoppolo starting? Because Brady wasn't, it's because he was suspended for the cheating. I'd forgotten about that. But aside from that, there's only 3 instances where your team's been underdogs like this over the last 15 years. But I'm gonna make, I think you actually, instead of feeling disrespected, should feel respected, because a 6.5-point dog in Kansas City means if this game were in Foxborough, it'd be a pick'em. And for Vegas to think you guys are only on a neutral field 3 points worse than the Chiefs is a hell of a lot of respect. And I think a testament to what Cam has already shown thus far this year. I mean it. Like, the Chiefs are going to be this size or greater favorites at home every game the rest of the way. So I actually think, as a Pats fan, you should feel pretty good about the fact that you're only 6.5-point underdogs.
Well, I don't. How about that? I'll throw that back here. I don't. These teams aren't nearly as far away as everybody thinks. We look at yards per game, the historic, the $500 million man versus the $500,000 man. Well, the Chiefs have 433 yards per game, and the Patriots are at 409. Okay, so is that the massive difference that gives us a full touchdown? How about points per game? The mighty Chiefs score 30 points a game, and the lowly defensive-minded Patriots, who don't even pay attention on offense, well, they score 29. Well, what's the difference? Opponents per game, we got you there. And yards per game, we're exactly the same, basically. So what is the big discrepancy? You guys have played 2 games well, in 1 game kind of poorly. The only time we ever talk about something failing or getting close to failing is with the Kansas City Chiefs. And Mike, just to put it out, I'm gonna invite you on a nice fall boat ride with me, okay? This Sunday, I take my boat out every Sunday. And you say, yeah. I was like, Mike, here's how the last 3 weeks have gone with the boat. First time with the boat, great. Had a nice run. It was fantastic. The second week with the boat, I'll be honest with you, almost drowned. I almost crashed the boat and almost sank. And then last week it was perfect.
But we made it.
I don't know, Wilds, about that boat ride. I don't know. It's like a third of the time. It was a little bit dangerous. So this Chargers game that's just been deleted from everyone's minds, you guys were moderately terrible. And, Mike, the fact that no one's talking about it is insane.
Well, I love your boating analogy. I'm certainly a boating guy. I caught one over the summer, I should say.
There we go.
But I will say this. I caught the boat. But I will say this. I mean, you talking about the teams that the Kansas City Chiefs face. The Chargers, they had an unbelievable defense. They might not have had the offense when Hubert stepped in and Tyrod Taylor went out, but Joey Bosa, he wrecked that game, and that's what he could consistently do this entire season. The game against Baltimore last week was pretty much a classic. I mean, Mahomes went off, and the trio of receivers, they went ham. Everybody did their part. That was a good opponent that they faced, and they beat. The New England Patriots, they started out the Miami Dolphins, and it was a good victory. It was a good win. It was a good stepping stone for them. But I will say this. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs handle everybody that you put in front of them. And if I'm Cam Newton, I'm wanting the same things that Patrick Mahomes has. So that's the motivation. It's still a lot circulating around this game. You know, it's a lot at stake for Cam. And, you know, to be 6-point underdogs, I will say they have to respect that, you know, with great fashion.
Mike, I think you said something about in 2010 you felt disrespected, and that was interesting, but you didn't go into detail on what that disrespect was for you. And when I sit in this seat, I always try to think about the player's perspective. As a player, I don't remember being disrespected because of the spread. You know, like, this is like new age football stuff, betting against the spread, and everybody's talking about bet. Like, we don't think about that. Sure. Now, we do sit up here and we take note. We watch the FS1s. We watch Nick Wright pick against us and talk bad about us when we do bad. But we're not sitting here taking notes saying, oh, Nick Wright, you know, he said that, you know, he's going with this team because, you know, it's a better bet. So when you talk about disrespect, what do you think the players really look at when we look at this type of dynamic in the locker room of going into these games?
I think at the end of the day, B, it's just about wins and losses, man. Like, you always want to be featured as a winner. Anytime, even if you was a 2-point underdog, you know, it motivates you somehow, some way, because you're looking at it like the rest of the world think we're going to lose this game. So it's motivation indirectly. And you know, I used to love it when we was underdogs, because now I felt like the pressure was taken off of us, and we can go out and play our game at our own pace. So, you know, I looked at it as the pressure was on the opposition. But, you know, it comes in all shapes and forms, man. Like, you can use anything as motivation. And this is certainly a reason for the New England Patriots to be motivated.
And you have to wonder if this game holds a little more weight for Cam Newton as almost a prove-it game. Respect or not, just to go out there and show that he can hang with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, we got another quarterback battle brewing coming up this weekend, Baker versus Dak. Now, which quarterback is under more pressure here to win on Sunday? Break it down next. First things first, love these two quarterbacks. Back here, first things first, the Dallas Cowboys are hosting the Cleveland Browns Sunday on Fox. Among the many storylines here, the quarterbacks.
Say
Dak
something
Prescott,
nice.
Baker Mayfield. Here we go. Both leading teams with sky-high expectations this season, both coming off big games. The lovely Dak Prescott has thrown for 450 yards in back-to-back games. The lovely Baker Mayfield has led the Browns to a winning record for the first time since 2014. But, folks, let us not get too caught up in Dak versus Baker. And let me tell you why. Let Baker tell you why.
You know, I think Dak's a great player. A tremendous amount of respect for him, the leader and the person he is. But when it comes down to it, we're playing the Cowboys defense. And, you know, we have to do whatever it takes to win. And if that is a shootout, then great. Then if it's another game where we have to control the clock, then we'll do that. So whatever it takes to win.
Just real quick, I actually like Baker Mayfield. I just want to see them go out and win and do things on the field before they win on paper. Stop, Nick.
It's
Michael Vick is joining us again. There's no reason to dislike him. Dak Prescott is quiet. He goes out, he plays his game.
There's no reason to dislike him, but you hate him.
I'm all over the place. You got me all off my game, Nick. Mike, I want to start with you. Are you expecting a shootout in this game between Baker and Dak Prescott?
Hold on,
Okay.
Mike, before you go. Earlier in the show, we talked about this earlier in the show. Can you please tell Wilds why it's important for the Cleveland Browns to do what they do best? I told Wilds and Nick and Jenna.
Run the football?
But definitely talking, yes, like run the ball, play action, and take timely shots to Odell. Wilds think that you should just drop back there and let Mayfield do what he does. Nick thinks that, oh, this is the year to see what you have in a quarterback. So don't you want to throw it around this Dallas defense when they're struggling in the secondary? Can you please tell them why it's important for them to do what they do best?
I think you gotta protect the offense, man. The last thing you want really right now is to have Baker trying to go out and throw the ball 50 times. The offense needs to be balanced. But this guy was drafted #1 for a reason, and this team is kind of in dire straits. Like, things has to happen right now. So if you're talking about a shootout, and it's no ball control in the shootout, so that alleviates Nick Chubb in the running game.
This is great.
You gotta, you gotta air it out, man.
Vick,
but who knows if it's gonna be that type of game?
Vick,
Look,
thank you.
I don't know if it's going to be that type of game.
Mike,
but if I'm,
Mike, this was great. Brandon asked you if we were in a court of law, I would have screamed objection, leading the witness. Brandon asked you the most leading question ever, and you still wouldn't go down the road.
He stuck to his
You know
guns.
why? Because
It's
Wright
hard.
Vick, like Baker Mayfield, has been a #1 overall pick. And guess what he wants to do when he's playing another good quarterback? Air that
Vic.
sun gun out and let me show him I'm the better quarterback. It is not just the Browns have if the only way they can beat good teams is running the football, then they got the wrong quarterback. And they need to find out whether or not they have the right quarterback. The reason the Browns have stunk for my entire life is because they've never had a quarterback. There have been other issues, but that's been the biggest one, Brandon. So I do think it's not just about how can we manufacture a win Patriot style. I think it's also about, listen, this is a bad pass defense with no pass rush. If Baker can't get cooking against these guys, who can he get cooking against, Brandon?
Yeah, well, Mike, I'm gonna throw it back to you real quick, man. But here's what I'm saying. You look at how you went from Atlanta, and I truly believe you're in the wrong system for your skill set. You go to Philly with Andy Reid. Andy puts together He didn't build around your weaknesses. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying built around your strengths. And what that is, you had Shady McCoy, who could go for 150 yards any given Sunday, and then you had Deshaun Watson and your legs, right? So you put all that together, and I remember just watching you Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and just seeing you just destroyed secondaries by play action and taking shots, play actions and taking off and picking up chunk runs, 10 yards, 15 yards. And that's what I'm saying here is, like, that's what you guys do best. You have a great running game, lean on that, but destroy teams in the passing game through play action.
Yeah. Hey, B, I totally understand what you're saying, because when you play that type of game, it makes the game easier for the quarterback. The run game neutralizes the defense. It neutralizes the pace of the game. Which is what we like as quarterbacks, but against the good opposition, the better teams, can you establish that run? And it has to be established in the first and second quarter in order to be effective in the second half. So you got to churn out at least 70 yards on the ground in order for the play action to start clicking. In Philadelphia, we had that, but Andy loved to throw the ball, and all he wanted to do was annihilate teams in the passing game, and not as much in the run game, even though we had Shady. Shady grew into his role. But the mindset going in was to, throw the football down the field. I just don't know if these coaches have that same mindset. And a shootout in this game is going to be needed, I think, at the same time, because, the Dallas Cowboys are going to score points. They're going to score points, and they're going to try to score fast. We heard Mike McCarthy last week.
So, Nick, here's my thing. This is why I want Baker to air it out. And I'm not like a huge Browns fan or a Cowboys fan. I like I'm a dynasty guy. I'm a Patriots guy. Yeah. But coming into this year, Jimmy G was 21-5. So, like, the idea that wins are all that matter, and if Baker gets a win, like, we'll sort of, like, crown him or, like, knight him, it doesn't matter, because Jimmy G did the same thing. So unless Baker can air it out in an environment, and I'll read you some stats here, that is the most pass-friendly in the history of the NFL. We've got the highest completion percentage ever. We've had 2,259 completions, and there's 281 touchdowns in the league. This is the most fertile ground for a quarterback, never mind a #1 pick, to just get in there and air it out. Add to that, you're going against a Cowboys defense that is so bad that they're talking about signing Earl Thomas. They don't. Like, why aren't you signing Earl? We're terrible.
Nick.
So, for him, in his story, to convince people like Jenna, like, he's got to air it out, Jenna.
Not
I think
that.
a
Jenna,
win.
go ahead. Jenna, go ahead.
Here's why I disagree, and Nick, and I'm going to ask you. I would say for most quarterbacks, sure, you want to see what you got in your #1 overall pick, great. Yeah, you got a guy with an arm like Baker, great. But Baker is affected by his head as well. Baker throws a couple of bad picks. Baker makes a couple of bad decisions. He has a hard time getting himself back in the game. You want this guy to go play a shootout, and all of a sudden they're behind. Right. I don't trust that he could keep this Cleveland Browns team in it. I fear that once he gets in his head, so great. So you could see what you got for the first quarter, and then you lose the game. I think you get more questions then.
No.
How about just play the best game plan?
That's right.
Agreed. But but the best game plan against the Cowboys is to take advantage of their biggest weakness. And if your goal for the Browns is to make sure you don't get blown out, then yeah, hand the ball to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt 35 times. Keep it close and lose. If your goal for the Browns is to try to win, then you add some risk. You are right, Jenna, in this regard. If they air it out, there's a chance they get trounced. But a loss in this league, there's no coach's poll. There's no boosters betting the spread you got to worry about if you're the head coach. It's not college football. A loss by 1 is worth the exact same as a loss by 40. So you give yourself the best chance to win. And the best chance to win with against the Cowboys when you have the ball is to take advantage of where they stink.
Jenna,
and where they stink is pass defense, Brandon.
Go, Brandon.
Jenna, I figured it out. It's a philosophical difference that we have with our buddy Nick right now. See, he's a known gambler. He wants to go out there, put his team at risk, and say, throw it all over the field. Yeah, win. Baker, it's a 50-50 chance. It's a 50-50 chance that Baker can figure it out. Yeah. And you and I are saying, you know what? Let's just... It's, the dealer is showing 17.
Keep it respectable.
The dealer is showing 17. Our card is showing 9, which says it's 19. So stay right there. This is what we do best. Stay. Listen to the rules. That's the difference.
Well, I would always stay on 19.
I don't even understand
the idea that I would ever not stay on 19
you're not going to stay on 19. You're telling Baker Mayfield to throw it down the field.
Brandon, just say you don't trust Baker Mayfield.
Get the last word in here, Michael, and then we got to go. Go, Mike. Last word.
Hey, Brandon, just say you don't trust Baker Mayfield. Nick, I understand your point. Jenna, I understand yours. Nick, you want to air it out. Jenna, you don't want Baker to put himself in a compromising position.
Win-win.
All hail to the Browns.
But Jenna, let Baker get dinged.
Win-win. What?
Let Baker get dinged and have his backup Case Keenum come in, and Jenna going to be texting me. Throw it 50 times.
Then
this
it's
is
all
the chance.
This is what I'm texting. www. Michael Vick, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Enjoy a great weekend of football. We're going to talk some hoops on the other side. Did Kyrie throw some serious shade at LeBron yesterday? First things first. Case Keenum. Baseball's postseason is here, and FS1 will be your home for the National League Divisional Series. It all gets underway on Tuesday. The NLDS on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Welcome back. Oh, and what a soap opera we've got brewing in the NBA, like sand through the hourglass. So are Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Kyrie joined KD's podcast yesterday to talk some hoops. Only a true Days of Our Lives fan would get that, and Wilds did. In so doing, KD and Kyrie were chatting, and Kyrie started talking about his deep appreciation for matching up with someone of KD's caliber. If only it was that simple. Take a listen to this from Kyrie.
10 seconds left. 1 point game. Who's shooting? You or Kyrie, KD?
Depends on who's hot. I don't see it as anything other than that. Like 1-3 pick and roll, or it's an ISO for either one of us, or it's something great for our team. One thing I've always been comfortable with is, I felt like I was the best option on every team I played for, down the stretch. This is the first time in my career where I could look down and be like, that make that shot too.
Oh, a shot at LeBron, perhaps? Sure seemed like it. Well, Kyrie heard the backlash, said he was throwing shade, and responded later in the day. Listen to this.
Why must it always be brother against brother? Why? If I'm addressing anyone, I'll say their name. Come on, y'all. Don't listen to the false narratives. Let people live their lives. It's just a game. Talk about the art, talk about the sport. You talk openly, you talk freely. But because we live in a click-based society, it becomes something bigger.
All right, we are now joined by Chris Broussard. Broussard, what do you make of Kyrie's comments?
Look, Kyrie can say, he has a right to say whatever he wants. The earth is flat. Christmas shouldn't be a holiday. Whatever he wants to say. And he can say, I have no problem with him saying, I have always believed I was the best option at the end of a game. He's got the guts. He's got the skill. He's got the confidence. He's got the heart and the track record, having hit arguably the greatest shot in NBA history. He can say that. Where he went off the rails was, one, to say, this is the first time I ever had a teammate who I thought could hit that shot. He was there when LeBron hit the game winner against Chicago in the playoffs. He ran over to LeBron and celebrated like the rest of his teammates. LeBron's hit 5 buzzer beaters in the playoffs, more than any other player in history. And he also goes off the rails where you can't get mad or even aggravated with the media when we respond to what you said. And here's the thing. Don't tell me I never mentioned his name. That's the way the English language works. When I stand on this show and say Michael Jordan is the GOAT, when I say Michael Jordan's the GOAT, I am saying Magic Johnson is not. LeBron James is not. Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, they're not. I don't have to mention their names to be saying that. And so when you have to own it. If you're man enough to say it, you got to be man enough to handle the repercussions. Don't see LeBron later and be like, man, the media, you know, they blew that out of proportion. You said it, Kyrie. I mean, it is what it is. You either have to own it, you either have to own it, or you have to apologize and say, you know what, I had a 20-second brain freeze, and I forgot I played with LeBron.
Broussard, if in 5 years I was on a television show with Nate Burleson, and I'm like, it's great to finally have a wide receiver know what he's talking about. I can't then be like, hey, Chris Carter, Brandon Marshall, I wasn't talking about y'all. Of course I'd have been talking about them. I wouldn't have to have mentioned it in order for it to be clear. And we could address the facts on the ground here. The idea, I mean, we could show you Kyrie's playoff numbers and LeBron's playoff numbers in these clutch situations because it's obviously a no contest. You have one who's the greatest ever at it and one who has made 2 shots in this category. One of them is, as you mentioned, Broussard, arguably the greatest shot in NBA history. We could talk about the fact that Kyrie, in the years of his career where he was not attached to LeBron James, has a losing record, with multiple variations of teammates, with multiple teams. We could say that if not for LeBron James, Kyrie is just a less interesting Gilbert Arenas without the 29-point-per-game season. We could say all those things, but we don't need to say those things because we all know those things. So here's what I will say, Wilds, and this is where, you know, I might make some people on the show uncomfortable, but it's what everyone's thinking. Kyrie's the most dangerous type of person, a kind of smart guy who thinks he's a genius. He's a 112 IQ who thinks he's a 180. He's the guy who actually has, like, completed 4.5 credits of philosophy and thinks he's solved the world. He's the guy who has his facts consistently wrong. And when you tell him his facts are wrong, do you know what he says? Do your research. Read something about it. It's like, nah, man, the problem is I have and you haven't. Is I've actually read things and you've scrolled Facebook. The problem is you're listening to chakras and Twitter comments and other people have actually thought about these things. And the worst part of it all, Wilds, is when he's called on it, he runs from it.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, Kyrie, we saw you and KD talking in a hallway. Was it about coming together to play together? How dare you ask that? Can't two friends just talk? Today's media environment is so toxic. I need my auras cleansed. And then KD on the same podcast is like, hey, bro, remember when we were in that hallway? That's when we decided to pair up together. And then 20 minutes later, he's like, finally, I got a guy who can hit a shot. And then, hey, media, clickbait. Why would you think I'm talking about LeBron? Because you were talking about LeBron, you doofus. And so listen, man, I'm happy for Bradley Beal with a ring. But that's what Kyrie is, and he thinks he's something else, Wilds.
Bradley Beal with a ring. I'm going to talk a little bit about media, and then I'm going to throw a Dwayne Wade, LeBron alley-oop to you, Broussard. So get ready. Tie your sneakers tight for the one I'm going to throw to you. Okay, Kyrie. I love you, buddy. I really do. Nick is gonna hit you, but I love you. Here's the thing about saying it's clickbait media. The question you were asked, and we didn't play the full thing, was from the host Eddie, who did an excellent job in the podcast. Can I ask you the cliche question and go viral with it real quick? So that's a sign that you're playing in the viral part. Then, if you're online, they took that clip and made a promo out of it. It wasn't live radio. It was a promotion to get attention. So don't act like we've got so much sports right now. You think we want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets? We got football, I got Chiefs, Patriots, we got finals, we got in baseball. It's the most crowded time ever, and you guys come in with your podcast and you're trying to get attention. Just don't tell me you're not. But Broussard, here it comes. This is why I think a strong leader like Steve Nash and having a coach like that they respect and is obviously the leader of the team, that they will fall perfectly in line and say, you know what, it's Steve's team. He's going to set the course for us. And I think a lot of these outside distractions will go away. What do you think?
Thank you for that alley-oop. My goodness, I windmilled that. All right. I mean, yes, it's scary. Look, the Brooklyn Nets next year will have by far, the best team in the East on paper. They'll be the only one with two real bona fide superstars who've won championships. They got a host of role players from Jarrett Allen to Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, they are stacked. But what Kyrie and Kevin Durant signed off on it when he said, hey, Jack Vaughn could be our head coach for a day. This is not good. And they have got to, KD, you see, is not a leader. Kyrie is a stronger personality, and KD kind of signed off on what he said. I think in his mind, KD knows, well, we need a coach. Right? We need a head coach. But he wasn't strong enough to say, hold on, Kyrie, Steve Nash is our head coach. And I don't think either one of them meant it disrespectfully to Nash. But it was disrespectful to Nash to say he's not the head. We don't have a head coach. You do. So this could be disastrous in Brooklyn.
Are you guys done? Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Seriously,
Yeah.
I sat back here quietly.
You gonna defend this?
Look, 100%, but I don't have enough time to do it, so I don't even want to start it because we don't have enough time. So anybody want to hear my take, you got to continue watching the show, right? Because what you guys are saying
Brandon defends this next?
100%.
You're going to defend this next?
I just don't have enough time.
Why don't we do this? Listen. Just hang out, quick commercial break, because LeBron is actually going to chime in and respond, and we'll have much more on this exact topic right after this. Stay with us.
Great.
I think Brandon
unbelievable. Ridiculous.
Back here with Chris Broussard. All right, so we just heard from Kyrie Irving that his comments about finally playing with someone who he trusts to take the final shot was not, in fact, a dig at LeBron James. Shortly after those comments were made, LeBron was asked about the dynamic between him and his new co-star Anthony Davis. Listen to what he had to say.
We're not jealous of each other. I think that's the best thing. In professional sports, you have guys that join forces, two, call them alpha males. That's what they call them. Two guys that's been dominant in a specific sport on their own respective teams. And they get together and they talk about, okay, how dominant they can be. And they talk about this is going to be this and that. I believe jealousy creeps in a lot. And that is the absolute contrary of what we are. We know who we are. We know what we're about. And we want the best, seriously, every single day, both on and off the floor for one another. We're not jealous of one another. And I think that you align that with respect. I don't think the sky's the limit.
All right, so again, these comments by LeBron came a few hours after the comments Kyrie made, which sort of ignited all this. Brandon, I want to pick it up with you. Do you think Kyrie's original comments were, in fact, a subtle shot at LeBron James?
All right, so I want to be careful here, so just stay with me. First, I want to address as a player. As a player, you have to be careful praising your current teammates, because it could come off as you're taking a shot at your former teammates, if I said that correctly.
Yep, you got it.
So Kyrie was in an interesting position there. Before I get into my points and why I'm okay with Kyrie saying this, I want to address something that Chris, that you said. You talked about his stats. Oh, he's hit 5 game winners. Well, LeBron has played more playoff games than anyone in the history of the game. So he had way more opportunities to do that. Okay? Also, when I look at my notes here, and we're talking about his comments and was it a shot at LeBron, absolutely not. This is a guy that's being honest and transparent. If the real question, the right question to ask is why he believes this. And when you break that down on why Kyrie believes this, is because I don't think anybody believes that LeBron James is the best when it comes to closing out the game or finishing a game. If you really think about it, it's been a discussion his entire career, is him being a closer. Nick, you said this yesterday when we were comparing LeBron and MJ. And I thought it was brilliant, because when you think about attributes a player can have, you think about 3 or 4, people name it, but you named like 10. But let me highlight a couple that you said when you said why LeBron James is the best. You said he's the biggest, the strongest, the most durable, the better scorer, the better passer, the better defender. You didn't say finisher.
Yeah.
You didn't say scorer. And when you look at the question posed to Kyrie, he was talking about finishing games. If it's been a knock on LeBron to finish games, and Kyrie, his teammate, says, in those situations, I want the ball. I'm the better finisher. And this is the first time that I can look on the court and say, oh, this guy can hit that shot too. He really believes that. So why are we crushing him? And think about this. The last shot of the game, who do you want to take the shot, Nick? Do you want KD?
LeBron.
Or do you want LeBron to take that shot?
LeBron. LeBron, the guy who, listen, you can say it's been a narrative, and in Kyrie's world, it's also a narrative that the world might not be round. There's a lot of narratives floating around him. But luckily, we have facts. We have cartographers and space shuttles to tell us about the shape of the earth, and we have playoff history. We have, Brandon, LeBron James has hit more playoff game winners, as Broussard said, than any player ever. He has a higher field goal percentage.
He had way more opportunities.
No,
we're talking
Brandon,
about closing out the game.
Brandon,
we're talking about closing. We're talking about Nick. We're talking about closing out a game. That's what we're talking about. Go back to the Heatles. Go back to the Miami days. Remember the discussion, Chris? Have you forgotten? I know you covered basketball for 30+ years, but think about the discussion around the Heatles. It was who's going to take the last shot? Is it D-Wade or is it LeBron? If he's the best player, it became LeBron after 3 years.
Brandon. No, after 1 year. Brandon, I love you. You have fallen into the same narrative trap No, Indiana game-winning layup, Chicago game-winning 3, Toronto game-winning 3, or game-winning banker, sorry, Indiana game-winning 3, Orlando game-winning 3. I mean, and forget the opportunities. On a percentage basis, he is the most clutch playoff scorer ever as far as field goal makes. I think Kobe was like 6 for 23 in his career. MJ, I think, was 7 of 19. And LeBron, at last count, I think, is 8 for 17. Do the math on it. So you've fallen into the same narrative trap Kyrie fell into. The problem is Kyrie played with him. And the other problem is this, Brandon. Kyrie wouldn't own it. Kyrie would not own it. Kyrie would not then. If you're going to say it, say it. Broussard, don't then go on IG Live and say, basically, fake news, bad media. It's a big problem, by the way. People calling real news fake news. And Kyrie's fallen into that, too.
It's not. Like, he believes it. He believes it. He believes. I'm not. Listen. I'm not trying to hijack this conversation, but no, we gotta state the facts, because the narrative and the storylines over the last 17 years has been LeBron James. Can he become a closer? That's one. Number two, in those moments, those clutch moments, the game within 5 points, underneath 5 minutes. What has LeBron James did? Why is he dishing? Why isn't he taking over the game like Kobe Bryant, like Michael Jordan? You guys can't sit here and say you guys have had these same conversations.
Brandon, first of all, you did a decent job of explaining the situation. I'll give you this. I don't think, if you want to take the phrase "a shot" literally, I don't think Kyrie was trying to be mean-spirited and necessarily go at LeBron. But he did, in fact, say, I've never had a teammate I could trust to hit that big shot other than now KD. LeBron has hit the shot. I'll agree with you. If I had the choice, I'd give it to Michael Jordan at the end of the game rather than LeBron. I'm not saying LeBron's the greatest closer we've ever seen. But what I am saying is he has proven...
The last shot, KD or LeBron? KD or LeBron last shot?
Well, if I don't have a stacked 73-win team with KD, I'm going LeBron.
No, just answer the question.
If I got that Golden State team...
KD or LeBron?
No, it matters. Context matters. Context matters. KD, OKC, LeBron, anywhere else, LeBron. That Golden State team where you had to worry about Steph, Clay, and you can't focus on Kevin Durant, who is a better shooter than LeBron, flat out. Yeah, I'll give it to him. But no, LeBron...
I gotta let Nick jump in here.
No, I can't let this go on.
What's going on?
Guys, he's 22 years old against a champion Piston team, and he scores 29 of the final 30 points to get himself to his first NBA Finals. Couple years later against Orlando, he hits a 3 to walk off for his first career buzzer beater. He had the bad moment against Dallas. After that, what did he do in the biggest moments? Oh, against KD, washed him in the finals. The next year, who do you trust? Well, I don't know. What's the biggest spot you possibly could be in? How about Game 7 of a finals, one-possession game, less than 30 seconds left? LeBron James in Kawhi Leonard's eye from 19 feet to ice that. The next Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Kyrie hit the 3. All the power to him, one of the biggest shots ever.
LeBron you want to glance over that? You want to glance over that? To get the third ring. To get the third ring, you want to glance over that. The person that hit the biggest shot in that series, you want to glance over that. Come on.
No, I'm not. No, because
nobody is questioning
Brandon. No, wait. Brandon, nobody is questioning if Kyrie can make a clutch shot. So I don't have to gloss over anything. We're acknowledging that.
But that is the conversation. I'm not saying that LeBron isn't great. What I'm saying, I'm answering a question, and we're looking at what Kyrie actually talked about. He talked about the clutch moment in those shots. In Cleveland, when they were teammates, the biggest shot to get them the ring, it was made by Kyrie. So when you talk about what these guys thinking,
LeBron. It's fine for Kyrie to say, I think I was the best option. That is fine. But to act like LeBron can't get it done, he's gotten it done. That's all I'm saying.
And this isn't, not LeBron versus it is.
That's not the question. That's not what we're talking about if LeBron can get it done. That's not what we're talking about. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about if LeBron can get it done. That's not the conversation.
No,
that's not the conversation.
We're staying here for a second.
The conversation is not if LeBron can get it right.
Jenna, wait. We're staying here for a second. It is a LeBron-Kevin Durant comparison. That is the one Kyrie is making. So if you want to say Kevin Durant's made those big shots, made a couple of them on LeBron, that's absolutely true. But to ignore and to gloss over the fact that one guy has made those shots at a higher percentage, at a higher rate, and over a longer period of time than any player ever.
It's not about higher percentage. It's about who he trusts. It's about who he trusts. We're talking about a guy that made a comment. We cannot sit up here in the media and get upset when a guy is being honest and transparent. That's what he believes.
Listen. We can easily continue this conversation the rest of the day, but I got to get to this little in or out quickly. Big story yesterday, the NBA, according to reports, Doc Rivers has reached an agreement on a 5-year deal to become the next head coach for the Philadelphia 76ers. I can't believe it took so long. Broussard, you in or out on Doc Rivers being a good fit with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons as the next Sixers head coach?
I'm in. He's better than Mike D'Antoni. That's who they were going to hire if it wasn't Doc. So Doc's definitely a better fit. I'm glad Doc's getting such a quick and immediate chance at redemption because he was disappointing with the Clippers. There's just no other way to look at it, not just this year, but through his tenure there. He'll get a chance at redemption. I do think he's a good coach. Let's see what he does in Philly.
Yeah, we talked about this when everything blew up with Philly in the bubble. We talked about they didn't have any leadership. This is your leadership here. You had Jimmy Butler that could potentially be that guy. You let him go. He's now in Miami in the finals. This is the guy that can come in and galvanize that locker room. This is a great move by the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a massive home run. And when I read that he was watching game 1 of the finals with Josh Harris, I was like, oh, this is his job. You sit down with a coach and you watch a finals game, everything that he must have been pointing out. I think Josh Harris looked at him like, oh, this is our guy. I don't need D'Antoni. I got a long-term contract with Doc. This is a home run for the Sixers.
2 quick points. One is an underrated part of this. The Sixers owe Tobias Harris about $150 million more. Tobias Harris played the best basketball of his life under Doc Rivers. We talked so much about Embiid and Simmons needing to play better. Tobias Harris got to play up to that max contract or at least close. Maybe Doc can get the most out of them. While strategically Doc has been, I don't want to say undressed, but he's been made to look bad in some playoff series. His star players tend to get along and like each other. I think that's very important with Simmons and Embiid. And so I do like this hire for Philly, and I like the fact that it's redemption for Doc. And by the way, I just got a text from Kyrie. He said he'll take Ben Simmons for the game-winning shot over LeBron, too. So just so you guys know, he's on the list. He's also on the list.
There it is.
He's never missed one.
Hey, Chris
Ben
Broussard.
Simmons never missed a game-winning three.
Have a great weekend, my friend. Hey, you guys, you think Cam Newton and the Patriots leave Kansas City with an upset win Sunday? We'll discuss. Good weekend, Broussard. Thank you. So 10 a.m. Eastern, all part of Big Noon Saturday on Fox and the Fox Sports app. And we're back to our top story this morning. Sunday's AFC Showdown, Patriots-Chiefs at Arrowhead. First time, long time, Andy Reid will game plan for a Patriots team that does not have Tom Brady under center. Still not going to be easy. Cam Newton presents a different kind of challenge. He can throw, he can also run. Meanwhile, Chiefs dominating on all fronts lately, coming off that big win over the Ravens. The team many thought was their biggest challenger in the AFC. So what are the keys to the game? Let us turn to Brandon, who happens to have a segment called Brandon's Keys to the Game. So, Brandon, how can Cam and the Patriots leave Kansas City with an upset win?
Well, I mean, there's 3 things that they have to focus on. Number 1, they have to attack this Chiefs rush defense with what they do best. When you look at Coach McDaniels, he did a phenomenal job last week against the Raiders attacking the perimeter. This week, the soft spot on this defense is the linebacker. So they will be leaning on that power run. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to protect Cam. This offensive line hasn't been challenged thus far this year because they've done a great job in the run game and setting up play action, slowing up the pass rush. So now when you're going against potentially Chris Jones, if he does play, he should play, and Frank Clark, who's a freak, this could be scary. So they have to protect Cam if they want to have a chance. And the last key is really keeping Mahomes in the pocket. And this is the most important thing. quarterbacks, they get comfortable with their spots. I remember playing for Coach McDaniels in 2010, and he talked about Tom Brady going into the game. He said, look, this guy's comfortable 6.5 yards deep behind the center. We have to get him off that spot. What is Mahomes' spot? I mean, pretty much all over the dang on field, but he's more comfortable and more dangerous outside the pocket. So expect this D-line to have different type of schemes, different type of looks and fronts that can keep him in the pocket. The key to that is not the defensive end. It's also those guys, those tackles in the front. So if they do these three things, they'll have a chance, but it's going to be hard.
And Brandon, particularly when you talk about Mahomes out of the pocket, what they really need to prevent is him rolling right. Him rolling left, he can do damage, but him rolling right is the most dangerous play in the league. So, like, that in particular, and your points about exploiting the Chiefs' weaknesses, I agree 1,000%.
Yep.
I think Jakob Johnson, that Pats fullback that got blown up on the goal line on the Cam Newton attempted touchdown run, he's going to be on the field a ton. Yep. I think they're going to do a ton of 12 personnel, or 21 personnel, pardon me, heavy sets where they try to basically bully the Chiefs. I think that is the smartest approach for them defensively or offensively. Defensively, I think they're going to be in trouble, Wilds. Can we show, like, the worst thing the Pats have going for him is where this game falls on the schedule. Can we show Patrick Mahomes in the first 4 weeks of a season in his career? That's what perfection looks like. He's never lost in weeks 1 through 4. He's never thrown an interception in weeks 1 through 4. He's got a near-perfect passer rating, and this is, of course, a week 4 game. The Chiefs have gotten off to flawless starts every year of his career, and I don't expect that to change this weekend, Wilds. I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised you guys are only 6.5-point underdogs. I think you should be happy with this fact. No, you think I'm being a smartass? Pardon me, smart aleck.
Serious.
I'm serious. I think that every other team that comes into Arrowhead, Wilds, is going to be underdogs of more than a touchdown. I think this will be the smallest favorite the Chiefs are at home all year. I think it's a testament to how good the Pats have looked, but I don't think they can keep this one close, man.
Okay, here's how good the Patriots have looked. In our loss, we looked better than when you guys beat the Chargers. Every one of the Patriots games has been good. It's true. It's true. And everyone and people, the Mahomes propaganda machine, which you are the lead engineer and shoveling coal into the engine, it belies the facts. So here's my prediction, and then I'll give you some facts. The clean energy. The prediction is this: on Monday, Nick Wright will be wearing a jersey that will let America decide. I bought him a Cam jersey because we were supposed to be Patriot buddies and you know, Cam Newton fans. So he can either wear that jersey or, Nick, if you want, tweet Nick Wright. Say, if America wants this, that you could wear this on Monday as well. It'd be nice after a big game, too. It'd be fantastic. So if you want to wear the Jordan jersey.
If the Pats win, Wilds, if the Pats win, I'll wear the Cam jersey. I'm giving you a free roll on that bet.
What if they lose?
If you want me to include the Jordan jersey, if you want to include the Jordan jersey in it, then you have to put some skin in the game as well. You got to shave at least part of your head. I would wear the whole thing if you'd like.
No, a pocket square.
Do like a temp fade. Do like a temp fade.
Whatever pocket square, you like one that's really wild.
Hey,
absolutely. Like a high fade. I like that.
No. Jenna, let me show you.
Quickly. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Wilds.
I just want to run through like the fact that this teams are really close. Look at yards per game. The mighty, mighty Chiefs, 433 yards per game. The lowly Patriots, we got 409. And how about points per game? Oh, the mighty Chiefs, the billion-dollar man. Well, you guys got 30 points, and we've got 29 points. How about our defense? Oh, the Chiefs defense. They're bringing back all 11 stars. Okay. You guys are doing 355 yards, and we do 357. So you're talking about 2 yards. There is one massive difference, and Brandon, you touched on it. You guys are ranked 27th against the run, and you're playing the best rushing team in the NFL. So when you see Nick Wright wearing a Michael Jordan or a Cam jersey on Monday, or perhaps Sunday, just walking around New York City, the reason is because Julian Edelman, Hall of Famer, has gotten loose and scored a touchdown, and we've run for over 100 yards, Jenna.
All right. I was just going to say, I'm not sure players come into a game talking about the spread and disrespect. I think they come in, but we'll get to that another time. The other big game that we got to watch this weekend, Browns in Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Team off to a shaky 1-2 start. Two teams with high expectations. Two quarterbacks with a lot to prove in this one. You got Dak Prescott. Statistically, he's been great. And what about Baker? Baker's led the Browns to a winning record for the first time since 2014. But let's not get too caught up in Dak versus Baker. Here's why.
You know, I think Dak's a great player. A tremendous amount of respect for him, the leader and the person he is. But when it comes down to it, we're playing the Cowboys defense. And, you know, we have to do whatever it takes to win. And if that is a shootout, then great. Then if it's another game where we have to control the clock, then we'll do that. So whatever it takes to win.
All right, Brandon, all morning we've talked about what the Cleveland Browns game plan should be. Should they go into it as a shootout against Dallas, and that's how they keep pace? Or do they use their own game plan and figure out what works for them and come out with a win? What do you think heading into Sunday's matchup with Dallas?
I mean, I love Baker. I think they showed us in week 2 who they are and what they do best. But he's not that guy. He's not the guy that wants to be in a shootout. That's not what this team, you know, what the recipe for their success is. When you look at week 2, what did they do? They did a great job running the ball and establishing that. They got 2 of the most premier running backs in the National Football League in Chubb and Hunt. So why wouldn't you lean on that? And once you establish the run and you establish it early, then it sets up play action. And we saw Baker Mayfield settle in. He was a little bit more comfortable, and he made some big plays. And the last thing that makes this team special is they got Odell Beckham Jr., who could possibly be the best wide receiver in the game if he was in the right situation. So you need to take shots at the right time with this guy. So Baker Mayfield in a shootout against Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, I think that's a recipe for disaster for these guys.
Well, Brandon, I do think it could end in disaster, but you've got to have a very different game plan against Dak and this Cowboys offense than you do against rookie Joe Burrow in his second start, or second-year Dwayne Haskins in his, I think it was 10th career start. They're going to have to score more points. They're going to have to add more variance to the game. It could end in Baker turning the ball over 3 times. It absolutely could. But I don't think they can beat the Cowboys 21-17. I don't think they can. I don't think this Browns defense has shown, unless Myles Garrett has an out-of-body experience, he can wreck a game by himself, that they can hold the Cowboys under 27. So I think they're going to have to go and score. I do have one quick question for you, Brandon. See how this resonates with you. I think this game is more important for the Cowboys' Super Bowl hopes, but I think it's more important for the Browns' playoff hopes. Meaning the Cowboys can lose this game and still make the playoffs because of the NFC East. But if they lose this game, I think they're done as Super Bowl contenders. The Browns, on the other hand, I don't think they're actual Super Bowl contenders. But if they win this game, winning in Dallas, getting to 3-1, you can start to talk about them the way I was talking about them last year as a real playoff team, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, they have a little bit more rope because of their division. I mean, it's a terrible division. It's a messy division. So they can afford to lose the game and go to the playoffs. But to your point, if they lose this game against the Browns, enough of the contender talk. Now we go to the Browns. The Browns, they can't afford to lose a game because they have who in their division? They have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have the Baltimore Ravens. There's no way you can fall that far behind.
Brandon, wouldn't you be salivating as a wide receiver for the Browns if you're watching tape of the Seahawks versus Cowboys game and you saw Russell Wilson throwing for 5, actually 6 if you don't count the Leon Lett thing, 6 touchdowns if I'm Odell, and then I got to listen to Kevin Stevens like, we're going to run the ball. It's Kareem, get ready. We're going to run the ball. I'm like, guys, then what are we doing? If we're not throwing the ball against this defense, then what are we doing?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we want to win, and we know that throwing the ball around the field is not our philosophy. It's not how we're made up. So I want the win. So I'm going to tell the coach to run the ball and lean on play action and take their shots when we can.
That's sports analyst
I agree.
Brandon.
Not
Wide receiver
surprising.
Brandon, I want
I'm just
going
to throw it out there. Hey, before we go, we do want to wish our Nick Wright a very, very happy early birthday. And as our gift to you, buddy, a collection of your favorite moments from this past year. I do need to ask, my producer is making me ask, what are you wishing for this year for your birthday?
You know, I hope everyone has a better 2021 than 2020. I've already gotten all my presents. Chiefs in the midst of a dynasty, LeBron starting a new dynasty, everything, while 2020's been hell in almost every way. As far as Nick Wright's sports teams, it has been unbelievable. The Clippers fell apart. Kyrie and KD already acting a fool. LeBron's winning titles. It's been great, Jenna.
It was our gift to you, buddy. Our gift to you.
Appreciate
Happy
y'all.
birthday. Have a great weekend. Undisputed.